here with Kylie Blunt, and she is from CISabroad, and she's going to tell us a little bit about virtual internships. Specifically, what's the program called from CISabroad?
Yeah, so we actually have two virtual internship models. One is an accelerated model, which is a little bit shorter, so it's about 4 weeks. And basically, this is just professional work experience. So if you're looking to gain some remote work experience, this could be a great opportunity for you. It's also really great if you need a very flexible schedule because you've got a lot going on. You could do this alongside taking some of your classes on campus. So could be a great model just to beef up the resume a little bit. And then additionally, we also have our virtual global internships. And these are 6 weeks long. And it's a little bit more of an in-depth look at working with a different culture, right? So our virtual global internships, you might be working with people in Argentina or maybe in South Africa. And basically it's learning a little bit more about their work culture, as well as gaining some experience. You know, maybe you're planning to study abroad in 2021, right, in Argentina, or maybe, you know, New Zealand. This is a great way to kind of dip your toe in and get to know the culture a little bit better.
Awesome. Well, I think I was so excited to learn about those internships. I forgot to introduce myself. So my name is Garrett English. I'm the Director of Academic Engagement. Basically coordinate study abroad and different global opportunities at CBU. I work pretty closely with Kylie, and CBU has a partnership agreement with CISabroad, so we've worked with them for years. With that being said, another thing I did want to ask you before we jumped into it even further, Kylie, what are some interesting facts about you?
Yeah, so I've worked in international ed now for about 13 years. And some things that people don't know about me are I used to be a competitive Irish dancer. And I currently volunteer at the San Diego Zoo. So I'm really excited about the pandemic now. We're starting to reopen things in San Diego. So I might be able to go back and help volunteer at the zoo. We've got a new baby hippo, which is super fun to talk about and engage with different people at the zoo. So I really enjoy that.
That's awesome. Well, I didn't know that about you. So the more you know. So Kylie, going back to the internships, a lot of students have asked me, basically, why do I have to pay a fee for a virtual internship, or why do I have to pay something to get a placement? Could you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great question, Garrett, right? We know cost is always something that students are really concerned about, and rightfully so. However, I would say the reason you're paying for this is because you don't have to put in all the extra legwork on your own, right, to find quality placements. So we're already set up, right? We already have a network of international internships that we typically offer in person on site, right? So we're utilizing a lot of those. We already know that they're high quality placements. And so we're taking some of the guesswork out that a student would have to do on their own if they want to find some sort of quality work experience online. Additionally, we're offering a lot of extra support, right? So we have modules that I mentioned for the global virtual internships. And those are prompting students to really think about, what does it mean to have a remote work experience? You need to be able to talk about those things, right, when you go into an interview. And so helping you kind of unpack and think through what kinds of skills you are learning and gaining through this experience is really helpful so that you can go in and really win that interview when you get there. We also do a lot talking about the cross-cultural piece, right? You might be working, you know, when you get out of school with, you know, people from all over the world, and being able to understand and just have that additional framework, right, of how they might do something differently in a different country, I think is really important, especially in the workplace, right? It's one thing to think about it outside the workplace, but it's another to think about those different pieces that might be cultural norms. And additionally, you know, we have people along the way so that if you need help, you know, you need someone to review your resume, you have that built in. You have a career coach that's guiding you through the process. So there's a lot of extra support that I feel like you wouldn't get if you find this on your own. I know a lot of students kind of wonder, are these paid or unpaid? We typically say they're unpaid. There are a few that are paid, so that's something to keep in mind. It just depends on the placement and what they're able to do there. So we don't usually promise that, but it's definitely a possibility if that's something that students are really concerned about.
Awesome. Well, can you speak a little bit on the benefit of virtual internships? You kind of touched on some of the soft skills.
Yeah, I think these are really great. I mean, case in point, we're all working from home right now. Here I am in my living room, right, during the pandemic. So if you have the skills to transfer right over into a virtual work environment, you're going to be a much stronger work candidate, I would say, as we move forward, right, in this day and age. So being able to work independently, self-direct yourself on any sort of project and things, those are going to really stand out to a supervisor nowadays. Additionally, if you have experience and you've been able to translate onto your resume that you've worked with different cultures, people of different backgrounds and things like that, that's what, you know, a virtual global internship is really able to help you highlight, is that you understand. Maybe, you know, you take us up on some of our placements in Ecuador and Argentina and you actually work on your language skills, you know, that could be really great if you're looking to kind of dive in and work in that kind of, you know, environment when you get out. So I think that those are really important. Additionally, it's really making you more independent, right? You can't just run over to, you know, your coworker's desk and ask a few quick questions. You're going to have to really think through how you can take that initiative on your own to find, you know, answers to your questions, ask for help, and navigate, you know, developing a really strong relationship and rapport with your boss over a virtual environment, which those things are really important, you know, to be able to do. And they come naturally, right, when we're in person, but they don't necessarily happen very easily when you're working remotely. So those are all great skills to have and to be able to talk about when you go in for those first interviews.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just think about working with like a company in Argentina that it would be so expensive to go there and work, you know, live in Buenos Aires and work with Argentinians, have to pay for rent, food, all of that. And so having that experience from home is pretty amazing. You get to connect with Argentinians and even finding that internship is really cool. So another question from students, how do I know it's a good company, or what's the work going to look like? Is this going to be a quality placement?
Yeah, that's definitely a great question and something that I can understand. You want to know that you're getting what you're paying for, right? So as I mentioned before, we do a rigorous vetting process of all of our companies that we work with, so they need to meet certain standards. And, you know, if your students are interested in seeing what those are, we're always happy to share and be more transparent about that. But there are also companies that typically we've already had interns have a successful and great experience there. So we know that the placement is going to be able to provide students with the kind of experience that they're looking for. Additionally, when we do decide on a placement, the student receives a job description, right? So you will know in detail before you start your placement what kinds of responsibilities you'll be expected to do. There are going to be a lot more project-based work, I would say, because you are in a remote environment. So those will be tangible things that you can work to complete during the short amount of time that you'll be interning, right? Because 4 to 6 weeks we know is maybe not that much time in the grand scheme of things. So we want to make sure that you have tangible items to actually put on your resume. And so that's a key goal of these internships, is to be able to transfer that over directly to your resume. But yeah, if anyone has, you know, additional questions or wants to know a little bit more about the high quality of those placements, we typically don't share the names of our organizations just because that's something that, you know, is preferred. But we can always talk through and give more concrete examples of what kinds of companies we've worked with if that's a concern for students.
Yeah, and I've looked through the list. It's pretty amazing, some of the opportunities out there. So, well, I'm sure there's a lot more questions out there, but you guys can get a hold of Kylie or myself. Go to calbaptist.teradata.com. We'll have all the links. We'll have the email addresses, link to CISabroad as well, to find out more information. So don't hesitate to get a hold of us. Thank you so much, Kylie. I appreciate it.
Great. Thanks so much, Garrett. And we look forward to talking to your students soon.